So, welcome everyone to another podcast episode. So, we are the Saying Yes Again team, and I'm Dr. Lisa.
And I'm Tony.
And we're excited to have a guest with us today that we both know. We were actually on her podcast.
Yes, we were.
And we are just so excited to have her on and to have her share her stories. Welcome to Saying Yes Again,
a podcast about second chances, real love, and opening your heart after heartbreak.
We're your hosts, Dr. Lisa
and Tony,
a midlife couple who found love after divorce. And now we're here to share our story.
And to remind you that it's never too late to say yes again.
So put on your headphones and listen closely, because your next yes could be the one that changes everything. So let me introduce our wonderful guest today. So we have with us Dr. Nicole Rochester, who is a mom, pediatrician, business owner, TEDx speaker, and the host of a podcast as well called Your Next Chapter. She ended a 28-year marriage, y'all, and had to navigate heartbreak, betrayal, grief, and loss. A recovering perfectionist and the proverbial strong friend, Dr. Nicole experienced a transformational journey of healing by embracing vulnerability and discovering the power of her community. Rooted in her faith, Dr. Nicole is committed to creating safe spaces where high-achieving women who have experienced divine disruptions can heal, recover, and thrive as they write the next chapter of their lives. Welcome, Dr. Nicole.
Welcome. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Lisa and Tony. This is like a full circle moment. I'm really looking forward to the conversation.
Yes, this is a full circle moment.
It is indeed.
So, I just love you, Dr. Nicole. We go way back.
I love you too.
Yes. So, when I saw your story, which you openly shared, certainly a lot of it resonated with me, and we could talk a little bit about that later as well. But my heart just really went out because, I understood what you were going through. We're both physicians, we're both moms, and all the things. So can you share with us what first made you realize something wasn't right in your marriage?
Whew. So this is hard to answer, and I think anybody listening who was in a long-term marriage that eventually ended can probably understand that there were like no signs and a million signs all at the same time. It's really hard to pinpoint a single moment in a 28-year marriage. We were together for 36 years. Like, I was 17, he was 18. So my entire adult life was with this person. And so when I try to think of like a single moment when I realized something wasn't right, I probably would go all the way back to when, we were boyfriend, girlfriend. It's like there were always signs, but I wasn't noticing them for what they were. Like, I didn't really understand what I was witnessing, what I was experiencing. And also, admittedly, there were some things where I was just like not wanting to believe or, just hoping for the best, all these things that we do. So, I mean, if I go all the way back to when we were dating, there were signs of him being a very inconsistent person. Simple things like not showing up when he said he was going to show up, saying, "Hey, baby, I'm on the way." And we were like young. It's like, "I'm going to pick you up, we're going to go to the movies or whatever." And I'm, getting cute, put my little lip gloss on and things. And then I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. And there were just always these elaborate explanations about why he was late and where he was. And I'm just going along for the ride. And so like those patterns kind of continued. Just a lot of it, just being unreliable. I mean, I think in general, I can definitely now on the other side, I can see how there was a lot of unreliability. And the other thing I will say is also while we were dating, he was literally known as like the ladies' man. We met at work. We worked at a drugstore together, kind of like a Target before there was a Target. And like literally he had dated almost all the women of all ages in this particular look at Tony's face.
Okay.
I just
Um,
want
yeah, and but I was made to believe, like, I was different. I mean, I
Okay.
when he
Mm.
pursued me, I was like, "No, no, no." First of all, I was a senior in high school. I was like, "I'm
Okay.
about to go to college. I'm going to medical school. Like, I have plans." And he had this reputation, but he wore me down, y'all. He wore me down. And the idea was like, "Oh, Nicole, like, yeah, I've done all those things, but like you're different. You're special." And I believed that he changed. But 30 something years later, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, he is exactly
Hopefully
who he
that
was
person.
when I met him."
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
what they say, when people show you who they are, believe
Oh
them.
my gosh,
Oh,
believe them the first time.
Yeah, yeah.
yes. So looking back, and identifying some of those subtle signs that you just, shared with us, are there any additional signs that you would tell women to pay close attention to, do not ignore, if you were to kind of dig a little deeper there?
Yeah, I think that this idea of being special, like,
Okay.
it is part of, I will say, for and I'm not diagnosing, I cannot diagnose my ex-husband, but I will say that I have discovered I was in a very emotionally abusive and manipulative relationship. And so people like that do certain things. I mean, there's a pattern, and when you read
Mm,
about it, you're like, "Oh my gosh." And so this idea of, like, it's called love bombing, where they just make you feel like you are just the most special person they've ever met in their whole life, and
Okay.
showering you with gifts and compliments and all these things. And so I think one of the subtle signs that I overlooked is kind of what Dr. Lisa said: when people show you who they are, believe them, because
Okay.
he was someone who cut off people on a regular basis. Like,
mm,
throughout our relationship and our marriage, there would be best friends that just suddenly, I mean, best friends, like 15, 20-year friends, he would just stop talking to. Family members of his who he would just cut off. And I'm a fixer by nature. That's part of the reason I stayed so long. So I was always like, "Honey, like, babe, like, why would you, what happened? And that's your cousin, that's your best friend, that's your whatever." And in hindsight, like, those were signs of who he was and what he was capable of. But my mistake was thinking that he wasn't going to do that to me.
mm.
But just the ability to discard people with whom you previously had a very close relationship
Right.
with, and there was a pattern there,
Mm.
that was a subtle sign. And I think just, I mean, there's so many, y'all, like, we could be here all day.
Right, right, right.
But I
Yeah.
think it really all speaks to character. Um, there I can think of, because ultimately, I mean, infidelity was, like, the main thing. There were a lot, and
Okay.
when the way you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you lie and cheat romantically, you lie and cheat in other areas of your life. But I can remember back when we were in our 20s, like, y'all remember the MySpace days?
Mhm,
Yes.
And I
Yes.
mhm.
remember, like, discovering, his MySpace account. And I believe this is before I believe this was before we were married, but we had been dating a long time at this point.
Okay.
And, there were, again, these elaborate explanations like, "Oh, no, that's not, I'm letting so and so," one of his good friends at the time, "I'm letting him use my account." Actually, I think we were married. So y'all are bringing up all kinds of memories. I think we were married. Yes.
Okay.
And this friend was also married, and the premise was, his friend is cheating. His friend is cheating. He's letting
Mm.
his
Oh,
friend
wow.
use
That's
his
the thing.
MySpace. Those messages aren't for him, they're for this person. So just this idea of, like, not being truthful,
Yes.
again, at the time, I every there were always things that I'm like, like, I'm scratching my head, but then he would just put this nice coating of icing on everything and make it look like it was a cake, and I'm like, "Okay, well, I don't think I guess he's telling me the truth." So
Yeah.
yeah, just
Wow.
and one more thing I'll share in terms of, these type of people is they tend to tell on themselves, and I didn't realize he was telling on himself. So he would regularly tell me stories about everybody else in his circle and what they were doing to their wives and how they were cheating and how they were doing all these things. But he always painted himself as like, "But not me, Nicole. You
Mm.
got all my friends are doing these things, and I keep trying to tell them, I keep
Oh,
telling them
wow.
they need to stop." And meanwhile, I truly believe that most of these stories he was telling me were literally things that he was
He's
doing.
doing. Wow. Wow.
So some women out there or gentlemen that may have experienced some of these similar types of things that you've experienced, what would be your suggestion or advice?
It really goes to believing what you see. I
Okay.
think that, what happens, one, we were very young, I was very young, he was very young, and I have subsequently realized that I had some self-esteem issues that I hadn't
Okay.
really managed, and so, this player boy, so to speak, coming and, like, recognizing me and wanting to be with me, that did something,
Mhm.
to my esteem, to the views that I had about myself, and so I think we need to really uncover the true feelings that we have about ourselves and like the worthiness that we feel, being worthy of true
Yeah.
love, being worthy of someone who genuinely cares. I think a lot of the things that I tolerated,
Okay.
if I truly felt that I was worthy of the love that I now know I deserve, I wouldn't have tolerated 90% of the things that I tolerated. And so I think it's the inner work. I think that most of
Mhm.
us, many of us, I'm raising my hand, we get into long-term relationships, we get into marriages before we even know who we are. And then if you're a high achieving person like myself, if you're somebody who gets stuff done, checks the boxes, you feel like I can fix this. And so I think for 30 years I was in this perpetual cycle of thinking I could fix it and trying to understand, like, why isn't this looking like the marriage that I thought we would have, and just, constantly trying to fix it, and frankly just not being told, hey, this isn't working for me, or hey, I want this person over here. I just, so, and it was a lack of honesty, but on my part, because I can only own my part, I had many opportunities to just basically say, like, enough is enough.
Mhm.
And there are a lot of other just manipulative tactics that were used, even like manipulating, like basically all the good things about me, like me being trustworthy, me being that ride or die, loyal
Mm,
person, me being a Christian, and that was
Mm.
weaponized. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
mm.
Wow. Wow, that's a lot to go
Yes, it
through.
is.
That is a lot to go through, and I think it's important, the fact that you shared not only, should we kind of be aware of the red flags, if you wanna call them that, right? Or the patterns, or behaviors, but we also have to recognize in ourselves, like, what allows us to stay in those types of relationships with
Exactly.
those
Exactly.
behaviors,
Mhm.
Yes.
Exactly.
right? Because we know it's not right.
Yes.
But there's all these other things sometimes, like you mentioned, that influence, why we stay a lot of times. So I want to talk about that a little bit because, both of us are obviously, physicians. So I think that sort of adds some nuances to it as well, right? As far as being professional women and then the characteristics that we tend to have as being, physicians, the caring, the fixing, right? All of that. And then just being, women who are normally, nurturing. How did you kind of juggle like that internal battle of what others might expect versus kind of what you truly felt? Because a lot of
With
times I
regard to
think
the
we
marriage?
yes, with regard to the marriage.
Yeah. When I think about that, I realize that I wasn't it wasn't that I was pretending that we had the perfect marriage. It really was I was trying to convince myself of that. So,
Mm,
like, when I think about it wasn't that I was kinda showing up, Instagram ready, like, "Oh, look at this perfect family." I was conditioned to hide things. I mean, literally the same
Mm,
way people who are sexually abused are conditioned to not tell. And it wasn't overt like, "Nicole, don't go say anything," but it was very just covert. And so I think that I spent a lot of time and energy trying to make the marriage into what I thought it could be and what I hoped it would be.
mm.
And being a child of divorce myself, like, that also played into it because I was like, "This is not gonna
that
be
might
me." My
Mm.
parents got divorced when I was really young. I have 2 older sisters, both of them have been divorced. I have grandparents who have been divorced. So, I was like, "I'm gonna break this, generational curse," and just took on this whole, like, identity of being the one in the family that didn't get divorced. And so I think that also caused me to ignore a lot of the signs. So as it relates to like this outward thing, I think for me, it was more internal. Like I was struggling with this idea of I don't fail. Like I don't fail. I
Okay.
don't quit.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It
Yeah.
was much more that than me trying to like pretend to my family and friends. And I mean, to the point where I became his enabler, like he was absent a lot, especially in the latter part of our marriage. And I would be like, "Oh, he's working," or, "He's really busy." Like, I'm literally, like, creating excuses for him instead of kind of recognizing, like, "No, it's not okay that he's not here for this big family gathering." So, I mean, it's like I played a role in kind of this facade, I guess, is what I can call it now.
Mhm.
Mm,
Mhm.
mm.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. And what was actually the turning point where you stopped ignoring those signs and kind of chose to step away and heal? Put yourself in a better place or heal, etc. What was the turning point for you? I've had enough.
I hate to say it, but it was, I mean, I think God realized that, like, because I mean, as we talked about, there were so many signs. And so for me, the turning point was like a disastrous discovery of serial infidelity and
Oh
living a
wow.
double life and Lifetime movie worthy stuff. But even before that, Tony, like I remember, and I think this is when I was kind of being positioned to be ready to even receive that news, because probably about 6 months or so before I found out that my ex-husband was not who I thought he was, I was starting to just realize, like, this is never gonna change. Like, that was really,
Mm.
the turning point, and it was something relatively small. There was a conference that he had agreed to go to, and again, this was a pattern of saying he's gonna do something and then not doing it, saying he's gonna go somewhere and then not, "Oh, I can't make it." And so for whatever reason, this conference, that was like a turning point because I was really excited about it. I knew that our marriage was in trouble. I really wanted us to turn things around. And this conference was being hosted by a Black couple who were business owners. They were in business together. My
Okay.
ex husband owned a business. I owned a business. And I had been part of this community. And I just knew in my heart, like, not that it would fix the marriage, but I was excited about us being around like-minded individuals, being around other
Mhm.
couples.
Yes.
And so when he said that he could go, I mean, I remember I was, like, counting on it, like, "Okay, this is it. Like, this is gonna be the thing."
Yes.
And then, like, days before the conference, he came up with some excuse as to why he couldn't go, and I think in that moment, I just realized finally, like, this is never gonna change. Like, this is the same pattern. It
Pattern.
may look a little bit different,
Yes.
but it's the same pattern, and I don't know, after all those years, I was just like, this is not gonna change. I think prior to that, I truly kept believing that it was gonna change. He kept saying it was gonna change. There was this whole thing around working multiple jobs and working hard and wanting to provide and just all these things. And
Yes.
so there were these promises like, just babe, just give me another 6 months or give me and this would go on for years, give me I
Mm.
just need a little more time. And in that moment, it was like it just hit me like this is who he is, and even if I believe
Wow.
the reasons, the excuses, the explanations, it is not okay anymore. Like
It's
this
not
is this
okay.
is gonna be my life. And I think I finally started to think, like, do I really want to continue living like this for the next 30 years of my life? And the answer was a loud no.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. So
That
you kind of already decided in your mind that
yeah.
probably was gonna end even before, the drastic discovery of
Yep,
the things that you talked about.
absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was I was finally starting to like let go. And I think that's a huge part of my
Mhm.
journey. I was like holding on tightly, and we should not hold on tightly to anything, not a person, not a job, not a idea or belief. Like you have to, if something, what's that thing about if something, if they, what is it? Something about if you really love
If you
something, let it
let it
go. Or,
go. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, I was like holding on tightly to the life that I was trying to build, my family, these
Yes.
ideals,
Yes.
my Christian beliefs, and what I felt at the time about how God feels about divorce and just
Mm.
all these things. And finally, I got to a place where I was like, "Okay, like, God, I surrender. Like, I'm letting all of this go, and you need to tell me what I'm supposed to do." Like, I don't know
Yeah.
what to do. You want me to stay in this marriage? Is this all you have for me? Or do you want me to go? And there was, it wasn't like immediate, but that was the beginning of me letting go of how I wanted things to be and being open to, okay, God, what do you actually have for me?
Wow. That's
Oh, wow.
powerful. So do you think that how do you think God was preparing you now
Whew.
that when you look back?
Mm, 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 mm. um, during the season before I decided that my marriage probably wasn't gonna last, and before I discovered everything that made me call the lawyer, like, the next day, um, I was really getting closer to God. Like, I've been a
Mm.
Christian and saved and all that for a long, long, long time, but, like, my relationship with God was not at all like what it is now. And so I was just like going to church even more regularly, but not just going to church, but like really being present, listening
Mhm.
to the sermons, like taking notes, figuring out how it applies to me, reading my Bible, like reading scripture,
Mm,
reading devotionals, being in community with
Mm.
other Christian women and Christian couples. And I think I was just like developing, a much closer relationship and a much better understanding of not just who God is, but who he is to me
Yeah.
and who he is for me. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that, like, all of that was, like, strengthening me and preparing me for what was to come. Because I think
Mhm.
I used to get angry, like, "Oh my gosh, like, why did you let me do this, God? Why did you let me stay so long? Why didn't you reveal this?" But I don't know. I mean, I'll never know. But if I had discovered what I discovered even 5 years prior, let alone 15, 20, it
Right.
really could have destroyed me, if I didn't
Right.
wow.
have that solid foundation. And so
Mhm.
now, even though, of course, I'm not happy that, it took me so long
So
to wake
long.
up, but I also understand that everything happens in divine timing. And when I was ready to receive the information, that's when I received it.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah,
That is
absolutely.
powerful.
That's very powerful. Yeah. It reminds me of I always think about I used
Mm,
to have up this saying in my room a while back in my office when I was practicing about about footprints. You've heard of footprints, right? So that
wow.
Yes,
just reminds me of that, right? That God always is with you, although you don't realize it. He's there carrying you across everything.
absolutely.
Yeah, and when you look back, you have to say, somebody carried me these many years,
Yes,
right?
yes,
And
for
kept me
sure.
strong and
Oh,
allowed me
yes.
to kind of get to this space. So now,
Mhm.
you've become a voice of empowerment. I mean, I just love listening to your podcast and also, watching you on social media, just being that source of inspiration for other women and spreading that through your podcast, The Next Chapter. So, how do you help women trust themselves again after betrayal?
One of the reasons that I created the podcast, other than the fact that God told me to do it, like, literally told me to do it, and I was like, "Huh? Okay." But it's really in my social media and on the podcast, I am very intentional about being, like, an example of what it looks like to remove the mask. Because when I was going through my divorce, people were messaging me privately, a lot of, like, high achieving women, a lot of physicians,
Wow.
lawyers,
Mhm.
and they would be like, "Oh my gosh, like, thank you for sharing this. I went through
Yes.
something similar, but, like, I didn't tell anybody," or, like, "This happened to me," and so I was getting a
Powerful.
lot of that, and people saying, like, "I went through my divorce 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, all by myself."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, this is a problem." And I used to be that person. You mentioned in my intro, I am the proverbial strong friend. So I didn't even really realize how much I've always had a lot of friends and family, sorors, all the things, but I kind of kept them at a arm's length.
Mhm.
And so I think that we have a tendency to, again, not like hide or pretend, but just this idea like I got it, like I'm okay, and I knew I was not okay. I was not
Mhm.
okay.
Did you?
And the things that I was going through and the things that I was discovering, like, I just could not manage it alone. And so I, like, for the first time probably in my life, like, vocalized, I am not okay. And I mean, my community just, oh my gosh, like they just came running and like wrapped
Yeah.
their arms around me and invited me to dinner and came to my house and invited me to their house and like, what do you need? And just all the things. And so I realized that I think I mean, everybody who goes through a divorce probably experiences some degree of shame. But I think for those of us who are like accomplished, we feel like we need to like hide. And I'm like, what am I hiding for? I ain't do it.
Right, right.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah,
But like
victimizing.
so I really like I want women to know that it's okay. Like it's okay to take off the mask. It's okay to take off your cape. This whole superwoman thing, this
Oh
strong black
gosh.
woman, like I am so over
That
it,
so
y'all.
over it.
I am so
I'm ready to
over it.
burn the cape. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. So my prayer is that the podcast serves like I mean I'm very intentional about being like a public example, and even like the way that I share some of the things that I share, it's not to bash my ex-husband. It's really to say like, "Hey, I'm a whole doctor and I experienced this. I put up with this. I stayed and it's okay." Like, and also I asked for help, and like you
Yeah.
you can ask for help too.
Yeah, yeah,
That
definitely.
is that is so powerful.
Mhm.
But like you say, I think it's so key and instrumental that everybody out there, powerful women or those women who don't deem themselves to be powerful, hear your story because they are hiding behind their experiences to a certain
Mhm.
degree. And I think
Mhm.
men need to hear what you're sharing as well. They
Mhm.
could be on either side of this. So I think it's all beneficial. But in addition to that, what steps do you recommend for women who are in doubt but are afraid to seek the truth or even ask for help?
Mm. I think that women need to understand that we really were not meant to do this by ourselves. I know we've been conditioned to believe that, especially in the black community.
Okay.
Um, whether it's a lot of single parent households that are led by women, or just the ways that we are applauded for getting things done. Like the same qualities that I now like reject are the things
Mhm.
that made me a successful doctor, the things that made me a good medical student, like all these things, even to some extent a good wife, a good friend. Like we are conditioned that our job is to not only care for everyone but to place everybody else's needs above our own, and that's just not how we were designed. And
Yeah.
so I think it really starts with this understanding, like, what am I carrying that was not meant for me to carry in the first place? And also, like, what am I carrying that has become too heavy? Maybe in one season of your life, those things were fine.
Right.
But in
Okay.
this season, it is now too heavy. Like you literally don't have the strength, the capacity, and being okay with just saying it. Like I think we should not associate needing help with being weak,
Mhm.
or with we shouldn't be ashamed of the fact that we cannot do everything by ourselves. And I continue to just be floored by the ways that people show up for me. And it literally all started
Yeah.
with me saying yes, like somebody offering to help. And instead of the old Nicole being like, "Oh no, girl, I got it. I'm okay." And I had to fight, like in the moment, I had to fight myself to not say no. And I just said, okay. And that just started this ripple effect that I continue to experience, 3 years later, after filing for divorce. So I think that women need to be okay asking for help. And in terms of trusting ourselves, like we've talked about, the reason I can trust myself now, like initially I was like, "Oh, I can't trust myself. Like, how did I miss all
Make
these
that
signs?"
decision, right.
Yeah, and now I trust myself fully because I'm recognizing that I was ignoring myself. It's not that I was
Okay.
stupid. It's not that I was blind. My
Powerful.
body was telling me things. I would get these pits in my stomach. I started having dreams, you all.
Mhm.
Like, so many things were happening. I was journaling about things. Like, I look back at some of my old journal entries and I was like, "Oh my gosh." It was like there was a part of me that knew,
That new,
but I
absolutely.
wasn't I wasn't connecting with that part of me. And so I think that for women and men listening, recognizing that you knew, like
Powerful.
inside you always knew. You just weren't ready to face that truth. And so now, like, I
Mm.
am prioritizing my intuition,
Mhm.
recognizing my intuition, trusting when I get these little gut feelings now, like, I'm not ignoring them, I'm not pushing them down, I'm not making excuses like,
Yes.
"Oh, well, he probably didn't mean it that way." No,
He
you've
meant
shown
it.
me who you are.
Right,
Thank you
right,
very much. Like, I'm
right.
like, "Show me. Come on, show me. Show me who you are." And then
Oh,
I can make an
wow.
informed decision.
Yeah, and you almost, like, invite that now. You want
I
people to
do.
to show
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Yeah, I sometimes, like, I'm dating now, which is also a very exciting
Oh,
Yes.
thing,
yes.
and
She's
I
saying yes
love just
again.
Yes, yes, Tony, I don't know about saying yes, like, to marriage, I don't know about that yet, but I am saying yes to dating, and
Good.
that has been a very interesting experience and very educational, and I'm
Mhm.
approaching it so different and not going in it with a chip on my shoulder, but to what we were just speaking about, I fully allow these gentlemen to show me who they are, and I'm not
Yeah.
judging them. I'm just so when I ask a question or if they just start talking, I'm listening, like, intently.
Oh,
I'm reading
yes.
between the
Yeah.
lines, and like, "Okay, does that align with my values? Does that align with my
Good.
goals?" And if it doesn't, it's just a very easy, "You know what? I'm sorry, this we're not aligned." I'm
Yeah.
not angry,
Right,
I'm not
right.
bitter, but I'm also not wasting time. I'm 56. I don't have time to be wasting
Yes.
with people who are not aligned. So, it's been fun, just really letting people show me who they are and
Yeah.
also me showing them who I am, and then we can make an
Yes.
They
adult
can make a
decision. Does
decision.
this work or does this not work? So far, it's
Yeah.
Nice.
not working, but it's okay.
It
Yeah.
sounds so much like Dr. Lisa. Woo!
No, I love that, but we talk about that on our podcast, how,
Yes.
when women, go through this healing process and they're start, ready to kind of get out there and date again, that look at it as an experience. It's not that serious.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's not
Yes.
that serious. It's an experience. So, like you said, if you and the person don't align, if there's something that just doesn't jive, just chalk it up to a nice dinner, a nice outing. You met somebody different. You got a chance to, explore different things and then just move on.
Just let it happen organically. That's what Lisa and I chose to do.
Yeah.
We allowed
Yes.
every facet of our dating process to be organic,
Mhm.
right?
That's it.
And we spoke about that the other day on one of
Mhm.
our podcast
Yeah.
episodes, you
Yeah.
know?
That's exactly it. Yeah, like, I think I spent so much of my marriage in this, like, energy of desperation
Okay.
and forcing things, and so
Mm.
now I just frankly, I don't have it in me. I don't have it in me anymore, and that's a
Yes.
good thing. And so now to your point, Tony, it's like just organic. Like,
Just
let's just let it
organic.
flow. I'm not forcing anything. If you show me to be low effort, like well, never mind. I won't share what I'm going through right now.
Don't set it
But
off now.
I'm just gonna say, and Tony, I hope I'm not offending you because like clearly you're not a low effort
No,
man because you got my girl Dr.
I'm
Lisa on
fine.
your arm.
It is a
But
continuous process.
it's just been interesting the lack of effort. And
Oh,
I'm taking that as data.
wow.
And I know from my past experience that I cannot be with a low effort man. Like because I'm a
Mhm.
natural fixer. And my natural tendency, if something's not popping off, I'm gonna jump in and do it. And I don't
Right.
want to be that in this my next relationship. So while I'm stepping back and then I'm trying to see, okay, is this person gonna initiate? And I'm giving you a couple of chances, but after that,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna give you the man's perspective. And are
yes,
you when a man is interested, right, they will pursue you,
come
okay?
on.
Mhm.
Again, allow them to organically be themselves, but when they're interested, they will pursue you.
Yeah.
This one
Thank you,
here, I
Tony.
had to jump over houses, the whole bit,
Oh, stop
right?
it.
I did, honey. I
To get
almost
her to
had
not just be your life partner. Y'all know I had to bring that up.
exactly. And that was the initial window dressing, life partner. But after I consulted Webster and instituted my own understanding, the life partner deal was out the window.
Well, you know exactly why I said life partner, Dr.
I
Nicole.
do.
Okay?
I
After
do. No.
25, you know exactly why I
It's
said
a
it.
form of
Yes.
protection, but that's
No, I
okay.
that's where I am, but you all give me hope. Like, I do wanna publicly say that I'm a huge fan of your podcast. Love the
Thank
Thank
you.
podcast. I
you.
love that you all are doing it together and just your relationship. I know nothing is perfect, but you give me and a lot of other divorced people hope that, there you really can say yes again, pun intended,
Right,
and
right.
find love. And so thank you for the example that you all set.
Yeah.
We
Aw,
we
we appreciate
appreciate that.
it.
We really do. And as a
Yeah.
man, just giving you the man's perspective, you might want to. Coming out of a divorce, it was scary, right? Most men won't say that. Didn't know what to expect. I too ran into the low effort, right? But with Lisa, it was magical. It was magical.
Oh.
And what I adored is she was simply being herself. So, ladies, put on your makeup, your heels, your fine dresses, or whatever. But again, just be yourself. And either
Mhm,
he likes
mhm.
it or he
It
doesn't,
doesn't.
right?
Yeah,
That's
So,
good.
I think it's fitting now to move on and just say, what's next for you? Right? You're out in the dating
Woo.
arena now. You've healed to a certain degree. You've been
Mhm.
courageous. I want to enunciate that. You've been extremely courageous to share your story on this platform. And in addition to that, enter the dating arena, to say
Thank
yes
you.
again. Right?
Yes. Thank you. Wow, I mean, there's so many things that are next. One, the dating for sure. And again, I don't have any when I say I don't have any expectations, it's not that I have a low bar because my bar is actually really high, but I'm just like going with the flow. And I'm also dating myself. I am having a blast dating myself. I have taken myself out on so many dates. So that's part what's next. From
Okay.
a professional standpoint, I'm really excited about my podcast, Your Next Chapter.
Yes.
We're celebrating our 2-year anniversary in November, so there's going to be
Oh,
a
Yay!
live event.
congratulations.
Thank
Yes.
you. So
Yes.
yeah, there's going to be a live event here in the DMV. So I'll share more about that when I have more details. There's a
Yes,
retreat
yes, we
coming
want an
up.
invitation.
Oh my gosh, I would love for you all to come. I would love for
Lisa
you
will
all to
jump on
come.
the wing of the plane in a minute about her girl. Oh,
Oh, yes. No, you all definitely will be invited. Yeah, and I'm planning a retreat. I have a membership community for high achieving women who are navigating life disruptions. I hope to be on stages. Like really the next phase
oh yes.
of Your Next Chapter is for me to share my story publicly. Just to inspire and encourage women who are navigating just, these disruptive life transitions. So,
Yeah,
looking forward to being on stages and yeah,
good.
just living life in joy. Like I am very joyful. I am
Yes.
very happy. It doesn't mean my life is perfect because it's not, but I have never been more at peace.
Mm,
That
that's
is awesome.
beautiful. That's so beautiful. Well, we are over here rooting for you, Dr.
Yes, we
Nicole.
are.
Thank you.
We are.
Yes, yes. So we absolutely have loved having you on this podcast and just allowing you the opportunity again just to share your story and continue spreading the word and empowering women like you said who are going through life's most difficult disruptions. Yeah, yeah.
Thank
To
you.
believe in
Thank you
second
for
chances
having me.
again.
This was
Oh
great.
no.
Yeah,
Our
yeah.
pleasure. Yes, it's been very inspiring, very refreshing, and it's just good to know your story from that side of the fence. And I think a lot of our audience hide behind these same type of experiences. So this is extremely important for you to be willing to come out to the forefront and share your most intimate or and scariest, part of your life or your marriage. So
Mhm.
again, kudos to you.
Thank you.
Right, babe?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. So we want to end with some rapid fire questions. Well,
Okay.
we just have two really, but
Go ahead.
all right. So the first one is three things that you can share with our listeners that they can do today to improve their outlook after divorce.
Mm.
The first thing is forgive yourself. Now, of course, I was very upset at my ex-husband for all the crazy things that he was doing. But then I had to forgive myself, and that may have
Yeah.
even been a little bit harder, forgiving myself for tolerating what I tolerated, for not seeing what was in front of my face. So the first thing I think we have to do is to forgive ourselves. And then the next thing is to unlearn. Like, I've done a lot of unlearning,
Mm,
in my physician training and all of that. There was a lot of learning. Like, there was so many things that I had to learn, right? But in this season of my life, I am unlearning. Like, I'm peeling back layers. I'm questioning things. Even as a Christian, I'm questioning certain things in the Bible, not questioning God's word, but the interpretation
right. How
of
people
God's
interpret
word.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
questioning the conditioning around marriage and women and just a lot of things. Questioning patriarchy, and so we need to unlearn some of the beliefs that kept us stuck.
Mm,
And I guess the third thing would be going back to the question you all asked, like trusting yourself. I
mhm.
think that recognizing that you have everything you need, you have your intuition is golden,
Yeah.
and recognizing that the answers that you seek are not outside of you but within.
Mm.
Oh,
I love
powerful.
those. Yeah. Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah. Okay. And then the last question would be a book, practice, or mindset shift that helped you the most during that time.
I Man, this book, okay, there's a book called Necessary Endings by Dr. Henry
Oh,
Cloud. Y'all, game changing. I think it's the very first
really?
book I read either after I filed or right before I filed, for divorce, because I think I mentioned I'm, this very loyal ride or die person, not just in my marriage, but just in general. And
General.
I
Mhm.
realized that I had a problem letting things go, letting people go, and this book just talks about the fact that there are certain things that you have to let go. And like that's just part of the natural order of things. We've all heard this saying, like some people are in your life for a reason, some people for a season. I used to
Mhm.
reject that, like, but there really are
It's true.
seasons to life. And as we grow and evolve, the things that made sense may not make sense anymore. And so for
Mhm.
me, that has been a whole lesson around recognizing that something has come to an end and being willing to, say goodbye, bless it, release it, and keep it moving.
Oh,
Yeah.
powerful.
Wow. Okay, so
Powerful.
we're gonna actually note that resource, that book, and
Yes.
for our listeners as
Oh,
well,
definitely.
so that yeah, hopefully that'll bless someone else also.
I hope so.
Yeah, yeah. Well, again, this has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. It's always lovely seeing you and speaking with
Same.
you.
Same. Good to see
I'm
both of you.
cheering for
Yeah.
your dating experience.
If I was in the
Remember,
Atlanta area, I'd be coming to some of y'all's events. So I'm
I
like,
know, I
y'all need to bring
know.
that on the road.
believe me,
Yes.
someone over here is working on that.
Okay.
Yes. So we're working
Yes,
on it.
yes,
Very
yes.
good.
Hopefully we'll have one in your area soon.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, yes. So, for those of you who are listening, I hope that you have received some great words of inspiration and motivation from our
Yes.
guest, Dr. Nicole. And remember to follow us on all social media at Saying Yes Again. And where can they find you, Dr. Nicole?
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. Facebook is at yournextchapter.co. Instagram is at yournextchapter_co.
Okay, all right. We'll make sure we share those links as well. So y'all go listen to her podcast, Your Next
Powerful,
Chapter.
powerful.
Download it, subscribe, so that you can be the first to hear those episodes when they come out.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for
very much.
having me.
All right, we'll talk soon.